Before starting this video, I have a special announcement to make. It's been more than a year with Coding Cleverly, and I would like to thank each and every one of you who watched and supported me throughout this never-ending journey. It truly motivates me to make even more videos for you guys. Thank you for being a part of this adventure. To spice things up, I'm doing our first giveaway. Anyone can participate as long as you follow all the instructions given in the description. Keep watching and supporting Coding Cleverly. Coding Problems Part 3. This video will include 5 different programming problems. Alright, so the first problem is first 3 multiples. The problem is we have to create a function which prints both and prints and returns values. So first of all, let me enter my boilerplate. So I'm just going to type in C++ and this boilerplate generates. Over here what we're going to have to do is we're going to create something different here. For this function, we are going to print out the first 3 multiples of a number and return the third multiple. So what it means that we are going to print 1, 2, and 3 times the input number and then return the value of 3 times the input number. For this, what we're going to need is a few steps. First step is that we're going to have to define a function header to accept one input parameter called num. So it's going to have a return type of int, that's for sure. So having a return type of int, and the name of this will have as first 3, so first underscore 3 underscore multiples, multiples. And we could have the number inside of an int, and then we have num. What we have to do in the function body is print out 1 times num, then print out 2 times num, then print out 3 times num, and then return the value of 3 times num. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. So console output num, and then we have asterisk 1, and then we can have an end line, and we can have num, and we have asterisk 2 times num, and then we can have a console output, and we can have a num, and we have an asterisk 3 times num. So we print out all 3 of them. Now what we could do is we could return that third one. So we could say return, and I could say num asterisk 3. So that's one of the ways to solve this problem. Let's have some input parameters. So let me just give some arguments so to see if this gives us correct solutions. So first one I'm going to have is first 3 multiples, and I'm going to give in 10. So what it should give us out is should print out 10 in one line, and then 20 in the other line, and 30 in the last line, and then return the 30th value. Since it's returning some kind of value, we need to store it in some kind of variable. So if I could have result here, and we could have that printed out, and then we could have like for instance we could have the result value printed out here. So result, and we could have it printed out here. So I could just have result, so result, okay, and then we have an end line right there. Now let's just run the code. Now you can see over here we have 10, 20, 30, and then the result was 30. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's try 0, and let's run the code again. So in this case, as 0, 0, 0, and the return is 0. Yep, the result is 0. So that's one way to solve this problem. If you have any other solutions, then let me know in the comment sections. Next problem is called the tip problem. Let's say we are going to a restaurant and we decide to leave a tip. We can create a function to easily calculate the amount to tip based on the total cost of the food and a percentage. This function will accept both of those values as inputs and return the amount of money to tip. So let's create our tip calculator. So we have a CPP boilerplate here, and what we do afterwards is create a function. So we define the function to accept the total cost of the food called total. So over here, I'm going to create a function right here. Then we calculate the tip amount by multiplying the total and percentage and dividing it by 100. It's just a small formula. We're going to be inside of the function. And then we return the tip amount. So it's pretty straightforward. Let's name our function. So since we're returning some kind of tip, I'm gonna return it as a float. So I'm gonna return it as a float, and I'm gonna call it as tip, and I'm gonna have some input as total. So it could be a total and float as well. So we could say total, and then we could have the percentage. So that could be in a percentage. Since percentages could also be like 77.1% or anything what I'm saying. Oh, so over here we need a float here as well. FLO18. Cool. Now that we have both of these, we could easily create our function. What we'll do is it will calculate the tip amount by multiplying the total and percentage and then dividing the result by 100. Pretty simple. So it means like total, and then we'll multiply it with the percentage, and then we could put this in brackets since we need the product here. And once we get our product, we could divide this resultant value or residual value with 100. Now we could basically return this, and yeah, it would be our solution. So let's put some things inside of the main function. Here, let's have, so we need a result. So I could say float result, like I did before. So result, and we would have equals to tip, and inside the tip we could put in the total. So for instance, we paid, it was $10, and we had to pay a 25% tip, and it will calculate our result right there. So we're gonna have a console output, and we say tip and colon here. We could either, we could put like a $sign here, so a dollar, and we could straight put the number right here. So result RESULT, and there you go, semicolon right here at the end. Now we could run the code. So now we could see over here we have a $2.5 tip here. Cool. Now for instance, if I have something like it was $0 for the price, so there's nothing for the price, and then over here I could say 100% was the percentage, so how much will be the tip. So yeah, we could just run the code here as well, and we could get so it didn't compile properly here. Let me just save it, and now let's run the code. So run code, and over here we get a tip of 0.0, so 0 as our tip. So pretty cool. This was pretty much it. I hope there's definitely better solutions for this. If you have any, always let me know. So the next challenge is converting human years into dog years. Some say that every 1 year of a human's life is equivalent to 7 years of a dog's life. So what we're gonna do is write a function named dog years that has two parameters named name and age. Let's get things started. First of all, I'm gonna use Python in this case, and let's basically define our function here. So I'm gonna call this as dog_years, the name, and we could have the age, and then we could have this. Now since it's getting two input parameters, name and age, and the name is I would say a string, and age is a number, and we know that dog_years is actually, so it's going to be 7 times more, so it's going to be age multiplied by 7, since that's the human age, and we're going to be converting that to a dog age. Now we're going to return a string here, and we could have something like f, and inside we could have so we could say name like this, and then we could have comma. This is called string interpolation if you aren't aware of this, and this is so simple that it just converts all the types into string. So name, you are, and this is available in Python. So dog_years, and we have years old in dog years. We're done with that, and we're just gonna hit the over here. No, there's no need of semicolons here. So yeah, just put brackets to make it a little differentiate from the others. Let's call this function here. So I'm gonna say dog underscore years, and let's put in some kind of name of a dog and the age. So we'll call it as Clifford, and the age of the dog will say, let's say 4. Now this is in human years, remember. And then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna print it out, and we're gonna check what's the age in dog years. Since it's 4 over here, so 4 multiplied by 7, which is 7, 14, 21, 28 years in dog years. So let's just run the code here. And here you can see Clifford, you are 28 years old in dog years. Cool. So over here, you can see over here, Clifford, you are 28 years old in dog years. That is so cool. Now let's try another dog. So let's call this as Lola. And we'll name it 16 here. So 16 is in human years. It will convert it. So we go over here and run Python file in terminal. Do it anyway. So Lola, you are 112 years old in dog years, and if I check the answer, it is absolutely correct. So that was my convert dog years, so human years to dog years converter. Now I give you a challenge. I challenge you to make this in another programming language, and one I want you to do is Java or C++. If you could make this, let me know in the comment section. I would really want you to practice this by yourself, or try to implement this in C++ or Java if you know that. Or if you know Python and you know a better solution to this, then also let me know in the comment sections. Alright, so this problem is very interesting. We have to create a program that would input one single number consisting of 5 digits from the user using the console. And then it would separate the number into its individual digits and print the digits separately from one another by 3 spaces each. I know there's a lot of instructions, but we're gonna have to do this, and we're gonna find a way to sort them out, and we're gonna be printing them onto our terminal screen. So first we get a number from the user. So I'm gonna create this program using Java. First thing we're gonna write is public class, and then we're gonna say public class and the name of our file. So it has to be the same thing. Now see that it's numbers over here. So by convention, what you do is you have to have a capital. So if I have it numbers here, so let me see. So this is numbers. So I could just like rename this. Hit the F2 key, and I'm just keeping the convention. So I'm just gonna change it to capital N. And if it's modified, so let me just open it up again. So over here, these are numbers, and just close this. I'm gonna change this to capital N over here as well. So public class numbers, and this is the opening bracket and closing bracket. So this is our main driver class, and inside we're gonna have a function which is our main driver function, and it's gonna be called public static void main, and inside of this we'll have something. So the thing that we'll need inside of this is command line arguments. So we'll say string with a capital S, and we say args, so args S, and then we can put a square bracket over here. We're gonna put it here as well, so it doesn't really matter where you want to put it. Now we're done with this. Inside of this function, we're gonna use we're gonna write our code like in C++. This is our int main function. You could think of it like that. So over here, we're gonna have to create something beforehand. First, we need the scanner to input. So we could have a scanner to import. So import java.util, which is utility dot scanner with a capital S. And once we're done with this semicolon, we got that scanner. Now we could use the scanner here. So we could say scanner, and then we're gonna write scanner with a lowercase. Just the name of the scanner equals to new, and then we have scanner here, and then we could say inside of this we have to tell that we're using the system system dot in. So we're using it for input. Now that we've got our scanner, Now we could get some numbers. So we could say system 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 dot out dot println for printing something onto the terminal screen. I would say enter your number, and we could put a colon here. So this is just going to give a /n escape sequence as well, like a print function in Python. But if we just want it in a single line and we don't want to go to the next line, so we could just hit system.out.print. And then this is basically going to have to accept a number. We could accept a number using scanner.next, and then we can say like next int here, and then we have a semicolon here. So scanner.next int, and over here we could just specify that the number is int num, something like that. Let me just create an empty string, and I'll tell you the reason why I'll create this. So number underscore str, so number underscore str, and we could just create an empty string using just double quotes. When you're done with double quotes, this is empty string. Now we could use a for loop to loop through the number, right, and get all the indices. So we could say int I is equal to 0, I is less than. Now it's less than 5 because the number is from 0 4, right? So I plus plus, it's gonna we're gonna assume that the number is a 5-digit number, so we're not putting any exception handling here, but like I said, that there's definitely better solutions to this. So over here we're gonna have number and underscore str. So we have our string, right? So we have str over here. We're gonna append that with the old number, so that is num, and we're gonna have that modulo 10. So once we do a modulo 10, this means that we're gonna get the last digit of the number. So we get the last digit of the number, and then we add that to our num underscore stir, appending it, like putting it inside of our string. And then we basically have num, and we have to make the number smaller as well. So we can say num is equal to, and we say num divided by 10. And this would reduce the number. And you know, you could write this as short num, and then we have divide equals to 10. This could also be written, but you get my point here. Okay, now after this is basically the for loop to show the numbers. So the numbers for default, let's see how the numbers will be implemented. So I'm just going to use the for loop again. Semicolon here, I is less than 5, and we have I plus plus, and over here we have system.out.println, and then we have our number. So number, and we know that's a string, so we can't get the indices of an integer. So that's why we had to put that inside of a string. So there's a function here. It's called char at. It's like the indices for getting the string indices, like in C++, but this is for Java. And then we put that I because it's going to be 0, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, semicolon here. And now we're going to have a space. So like you could tell how much spaces you want. According to the problem, we needed to space out 3 spaces. So we could say system.out.println, and we could just specify some spaces here. So 1, 2, 3, and they're spaced out, so it's just gonna try to display this number. Java C, and the name for the program is numbers, so it's gonna be numbers. And this is a class, this is a byte file, byte code, but we need the Java, so we have to compile this one. Once it's compiled, now you could run it. So when you run it, you just need to call numbers, and you don't have to call this. So it's not Java C or anything, it's just number and then the name. So enter your number. So for instance, if I enter, let's see, 674, so this is a number that is randomly entered by me. What it did is basically it got every piece. So that second last, then second last, then third last, then fourth last, and then fifth last. I just got it and showed it over here. So this is how we get all the small pieces of them, and we could just display them. Other than that, we could just have it printed from the other way around as well. So there's a print ln over here, so I could have just had something like that and this, and C, say numbers dot Java, and then we say Java numbers. We enter a number like this. Now it just breaks out the number and gives us in this. So it's in a reverse order. You can see it's because it was the last number. So 38787. So I want to display it in the forward direction, not the reverse direction. So for that case, I could just reverse the logic here. So I could say start with 4 and I is greater than equal to 0. And then we could just decrement instead of incrementing. And if we do this, the logic is changed and it will now appear the way we want it. So compile and then run. And then when we run our, let's see, let's just copy this. So enter, and then we could just paste it here. And then you can see the logic here is now 78783. So it broke out the code and just rearranged it. All right, so the last task that we're gonna be solving today is called the sorting numbers. So what it does is that it reads 5 integers from our console, and it will determine the largest and smallest number in the group. So I'm using Java again, so I'm gonna use my, again, boilerplate. So first we're gonna have a class, so I say public class. The name should be the same as the file name, sorting. And then inside we'd have a public static void main, and would have this. Inside of this would have command line arguments. So string args, and then inside of this before would have a scanner. So we need a scanner. So we say import java dot util dot scanner with a capital S. And now that we've done with all of that, now we gotta go in here and initialize our scanner SCA and then ER. We go to new. So we're creating our scanner and we're saying system dot in. Now that we've created our scanner, now we got to input numbers. So let's say system dot out dot print ln, and we say input 5 numbers. Let's say 5 numbers. So we're basically asking the user to input numbers, and we're going to put a semicolon here. And now that we're asking it, we should get numbers. We could say scanner, so SANNER dot next int. Sorry about that. Dot next int, and we're going to get the number. Store it in integer 1. So we say num1, and then we just repeat this process. So let this copy. Forgot the semicolon, and I'll paste it here, and then put a semicolon, paste it here, semicolon, paste it here, semicolon, paste it here, semicolon. The thing that we have to change here is instead of 1, it should be 2. This should be 3, 4, and then 5. Now that we have these numbers, what we have to do is we have to sort these numbers, and we have to show the person the largest and smallest number added. So we could have one logic that I have in my mind right now, and I know that there's going to be definitely more, like I said every time. So if you do know better solutions, then definitely comment them down in the comment sections and we'll check them out. All right, so now that we got our 5 numbers, now we could just what I would say, I would put them in an array, and I'll use a classical sorting algorithm to find out which one is the largest and which one is the smallest. So let me just put these numbers inside of an array, and then so do something like that. So I'll create an array first. So I'll say int, this is the type, and the creating array is a little different here in Java. So we say array, and then we equal to new, and we say ARR, and we just put the size here. So we have 5 here. So now we created an array, and we say array subscript 0, and then 1, 2, 3, and we put our numbers inside of it. So it's like for the 0th index, we put the num1, and then we basically repeat the process for others. So this is equal to num2. So let me just copy this and yeah, paste it again. Paste. Just copy this and paste it. Okay, so we're just gonna change this to 2, and we're gonna change this to 3, and then we're gonna change this to 4. Now that we're done with this, so now let's create the sorting algorithm that will sort the numbers into an ascending order fashion. So I'm gonna use a selection sort algorithm. So let's go in 4, and we'll say int I is equal to 0. I would say I is less than the size, which is actually 5, and we say I plus plus here. In the second for loop, we'll do int j is equal to I plus 1. It's one step ahead, and we have j less than the size, which is 5, and we have j, so j plus plus. So this is the video that I covered recently. It's called sorting algorithms. If you haven't watched my video on sorting, so I encourage you to watch that. So now after that, we have a logic here, and this logic will tell us how to implement. So we say if the array subscript j, the one that's ahead, is greater than. So if it's less than, so if it's less than the array of I, so if this case happens, meaning that the first one is more and the second one is smaller, so what we could do is create a temp. It's a swap function here, so we have a temp and we have array sub I, and this is a very traditional problem, swapping numbers. So we're gonna basically use that code. So I is equal to j, and we have a array sub j is equal to array sub, so over here we'll have temp, and we're done with this, and then we could just print out our contents. So we'll use a for each loop this case. So int number, and we have a colon, and then we tell the structure, which is array here, and inside of this we could just we don't even need the squiggly brackets, we could just have it in a one line. So we could say system dot out dot print, so we need this one, and then we're gonna have the name, so we'd say number here in this case. Before all of this, let's have a console output so that it shows that there's something into the terminal screen. So we can say console, sorry, not console output, but system dot out dot print ln, I would say sorted sorted numbers, and over here we're going to put a dot 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 and a semicolon here, and now it should work. So let's run the code. So basically we're getting inputs of 5 numbers, we're putting them inside of an array, and then we're sorting them using a sorting algorithm, and then we're printing them out using a for each loop. So what I could do now is I could go to my file here, directory, and I'll write cmd. I have JDK installed on my machine, and then I put it in my path, so that's why it's working in my command line. And if you don't, then you should do that first, and then you could use that in your CMD as well. So I have Java C, which is going to be compiling the code. Here I have sorting dot Java. You can see over here that sorting Java error reached end of file while parsing at line 33. There's some kind of issue. So here we have Okay, so I know what's the issue here. We forgot one more squiggly bracket because this is basically our class. And this part here was our driver function. So this is our driver function, which function where our code will run. So now let's run it again, rerunning. Oh, I forgot to save it. Most important thing. Now go back here and run the code. Compile it, sorry. So it's compiled. It changed to a byte file. Now the bytecode is gonna work. So we're gonna have Java, and we're gonna call it using sorting. So once we hit that, we have 5 numbers to input. So these are some random numbers that I'm inputting, and now they're sorted in ascending order. So if I check them out, you can see over here that 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. Oh, so there was a logic in my program that I forgot to correct, and I was keep on thinking that there's something wrong with my code. It's actually I had to assign the numbers with different values, and now if I run the code, man, these kind of errors happen, and it's normal to have them. So don't feel discouraged. It does happen naturally to everyone. So now that we are inputting them, we'll see them in some order. So you can see that they're in descending order. And I actually need them sorted out so I could... Let me just comment this one out. So I had an issue that what if my for each loop wasn't working. So I commented out and used a regular for loop. And it wasn't that case. It was some kind of issue. So now that we have them sorted out in a descending order, we could pick out the largest and smallest number from this. So first let's just run it again just to show that it's working. So this is compiled and this is running. And now we could just like put some random numbers in here. And you can see that they're in descending order sorted out flawlessly. And now what we can do is pick out our largest and smallest number. So I could just say system.out.println, and we say smallest. So I'll say largest first because it's in descending order. So we'll say largest number, and I'll put a colon here. Okay, so what I did for descending is just change this this sign to greater than. It was in less than for ascending order, and for descending order it would just be greater than. So largest number here, I'll just put a plus here, and then we'll put the array. So the array subscript and the first element, which is the largest. Similar to that, we'll have a copy here, and we'll paste it right after this. And for this, we'll put the smallest number, and this will be the last one. And then we'll say smallest number here, so smallest. And now we could run the code. And once we're compiling, running, just random numbers again. Now that we have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 64, 64. Did I enter 64 2 times? Yes, I did. So the largest number and the smallest number. So if you guys have better solutions to these problems, then let me know in the comment sections. Until then, peace out.